What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm joined by Kyle West. How are you, sir?
Hey, I am doing pretty good. I'm on a week of vacation, so that is always a positive. Ready to talk about Vikings football, even though there's not much news going on. We're going to do a show anyway, because we enjoy chit-chatting with everyone who joins us each and every week. Smith, you just went dark.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm trying to get stuff here for the show, but here I am.
Boom.
What's up, Adam? How are you, man?
I don't know, but I'm here, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay. Hopefully we can turn it around. If it's not good, if it is good, we're going to make it better. Because we're going to talk about Vikings football. And this is episode 485. Murray up and wait, because you got to talk about this today specifically. Just to bring it around to Vikings, we got to talk about quarterbacks and contracts. There was a former Viking that signed with a championship team. Dalvin Cook is talking about his new number. We have all these great, wonderful nothings to talk about today, but this will be more of a relaxed, debatable talk about what we think about certain issues show, because training camp is like a week away, something close to that. I don't remember the exact date, but we're almost there, guys.
We're getting down to it. Raiders, I know the not Oakland. See, I'm old. They're always going to be the Oakland Raiders to me.
Right.
The Vegas Raiders, I believe, have opened up training camp yesterday. So
the Los Angeles Raiders.
Yeah.
Ooh. All the cities. What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Clifford? Thank you guys for joining
California's
us.
got enough teams.
Yeah, I think they're okay. Of course, I was listening to it the other day. We could talk about that too, just because it's interesting to see what you guys think. I borrowed this from Colin Cowherd, watching stuff, mindlessly driving and listening to whatever background noise. The move to LA with the Rams and the Chargers turned out to be a good one, right? It's an NFL network, and their headquarters are moving there. That place thrives, it's got a big city, big attitude, all that fun stuff. But he's talking about the lowest ticket sales. And we're talking about Arizona today because Kyler Murray signed a massive contract today, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But Arizona, Washington, Detroit, the Jaguars had the least ticket sale revenue. And he was saying that if Doug Peterson and Sunshine down there can't get it done, it's time to move them out of Jacksonville. What say you guys? If it doesn't work, would you be in favor of that franchise leaving? And if yes, where should they go? Is this finally when London gets a team?
London, that would be a good fit. Or I would really like to see a team up in Canada. I think that would be fun. It would be fun to have a team in Canada, don't you guys think?
I don't know. Right now, I think we should be talking a little bit more about Chicago. Because Chicago's situation right now is not good.
I've heard maybe they're slapping a roof on that bad boy stadium.
No, the Chicago announced that they will not be doing any renovations to Soldier Field. So they're talking about moving the Bears out of the actual city of Chicago. And it's going to be interesting to see how all this works, because Bears ownership, I don't know how loyal they are. Jacksonville, their ownership ain't moving that team. No way. The Khan family, no.
I agree with you, Adam, but here's the counter to that. It's Jerry Jones was in, he's a big influence because he makes the most money from his team, right? He was saying how he called Stan Kroenke and was like, you guys need to move to LA. Like, nobody cares about football in St. Louis except St. Louis. It'll work, promise. Now, it worked, they have a joint venture with an AFC team. That's a massive place, big city for football. If he could talk sense into him to say, you're still going to own the team, just move it to a better city.
Well,
I don't know, maybe.
No, all his businesses are based there. He ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how much the Khans have invested around in Jacksonville. So you're right, Adam. They're probably not going to be moving. The last I heard that they were talking about slapping a roof on the stadium there to keep them in Chicago. But I guess if they are not doing any renovations, could you maybe move the Bears to like Toronto? Or
I
something
hope
like
not.
that.
For the sake of history, leave them alone. Figure it out.
Isn't it absolutely crazy, though, that an NFL team could not survive, like in Oklahoma or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
They can't live there. high school and college football would dominate an NFL team.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you think about the map too. If you guys have seen the meme of like where all the cities are located, this question's been asked a few times over the years. Where should the next NFL franchise be? And the Midwest is very barren when it comes to that. Once you get Minnesota and keep going west, there's not a lot for a couple states. They're all pretty well in, big cities. But I think you're right, Adam. Some of those places you can't put next to it because college football, the SEC rules, all those Big Ten teams rule. Like, I mean, I get it. Some states can thrive. Like they have multiple cities. I'm thinking of Pittsburgh, right? You got the University of Pitt, the Eagles, the Steelers, but I couldn't imagine anything in Oklahoma besides the Sooners. That's a good point.
Do you think an NFL team could survive in Helena?
I don't even know where that's at.
Helena, Montana?
Ugh, no.
There's no team nearby. There's not a big college base.
Mm-mm.
It could take over. It would eat up a lot of the Minnesota market.
Yeah, but you haven't had fans
geographic
come
hole.
to those games.
Helena's
You
a
have
big
no
city.
fans that would support it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, see, we run into this problem a little bit too. You guys know I live in Iowa, and so this gets discussed quite a bit. Is like we don't have a professional sports team, and when we get stuff that comes through, like the Major League Baseball plays in that Field of Dreams field now, that's a big event when they come here come to the state of Iowa, or when Kurt Warner was playing for the Iowa Barnstormers in the Arena League. Like that was a really big deal when we had that. But the problem becomes outside of like a special attraction of those certain events that come in, we're too close to the Vikings or the Bears or the Packers, whatever, to have our own sports franchise that would actually thrive here in Iowa. So you run into that problem as well, too. Like, we say we would love to have an NFL team, but we're too close in proximity to other larger markets that I don't think you could thrive unless you're in that weird scenario where we're moving the Bears from Chicago to Iowa. Then you're just kind of shifting, that market from one state to another. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm glad we don't have to have this discussion about the Vikings anymore, because there for a while, boy, I was really concerned that we were going to end up in
close to San
Los
Antonio.
Angeles. Yeah.
I mean, it was so close to San
Yeah.
Antonio. It's just, the more I think about it, the more it just kind of blows my mind that it didn't happen.
I'm glad that it didn't, because now I have to be a Panthers fan, and they don't have anything to look forward to. So I'm glad
We
that
talked
we
about
could
this
all
on the
have
show.
this.
I don't know what I would have done if the Vikings weren't in Minnesota. Like, would I have followed the franchise a little bit, but it wouldn't have been the same? Like, I don't know what that would have
Right.
done to my fandom.
Now, you mentioned Colin Cowherd at the top of the show. And did you guys see he doubled down on his statement?
Yeah, it's another 8-9 season incoming now. I'm tired of this guy rooting for this team.
What did he say, 13-4?
Yeah, he thinks the Vikings are going to go 13-4. He really likes the addition of Kevin O'Connell to help out Kirk Cousins, which he made a good point, right?
I mean,
To
I
echo
do
what
too.
Adam is saying, he said, when your head coach doesn't like you and you don't speak to the general manager for a year or two, it's going to cause tension in the room. Can I just get on? It's not even a rant. I just want to talk about something, because this drives home a point that we don't know about because we're not players. But you see the importance the older you get, right? I was listening to Pat McAfee right now, right? I'm driving down the road just now, going by the house that I'm purchasing, just wasting gas right now. And he's talking about Jimmy G and the possible places he could end up, because Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder's better. Looks like he might go to the Falcons, maybe the Giants, Seattle if they cut him. But you're thinking about the locker room as a whole and how one of the guys on Pat McAfee's show was like, well, what about Philly? And like, dude, Jalen Hurts might not be the answer, but they love that guy. So if you bring him in, that's going to disrupt the chemistry behind a guy who is kind of trending upward, playing like better than we thought he would. And you think about how that would like kind of shake up the chemistry there. How shitty of a locker room was this locker room the last 2 years? How volatile was it? Because this has been echoed on Twitter, like Mike Zimmer sucked and blah, blah, blah. But I want to think about it from Kirk Cousins' perspective. Like, dude, I'm just trying to come in here and win. You're supposed to be the defensive guru. I just put up the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions as Favre did in 2009. Like, that shit ain't on me. And he doesn't like the guy. Like, how volatile is that?
It's funny. I have two things to come from that statement. The first is that was actually the argument for why you might have kept Case Keenum for another year in Minnesota, was because of how well he worked with the locker room and that chemistry, and whether the players seemed to believe in him. And so you could have always made that case for him. And for two, one of the knocks on Kirk is that he gets called the "I just work here" quarterback. Like, oh, I just work here. I don't call timeouts, and I don't do this or that or the other thing. But have you ever been at a job where you're not treated fairly, and after a while it just wears you down, and you don't necessarily care as much? I kind of get the feeling that maybe part of Kirk's "I just work here" attitude was all the shit that was going on behind the scenes with management and Mike Zimmer, and he was like, fuck it. I know based on my contract, I'm going to be here. You guys aren't, but I am. So you know
Adam,
what?
before you jump in and say something, though, can I echo what Kyle's saying?
Of course.
Do you guys remember that photo where he's got the helmet on and he is grabbing Zimmer and screaming at him?
Yeah.
They try to downplay that hard. I want to know how pissed off he was, or be like, hey, I told you I'm really good at this, motherfucker. Like, this... Oh my God. Just thinking about the little tea leaves that were left along the way, you're like, this is really bad. Like, it's kind of like that Bill Belichick thing where, we said get rid of him a year early rather than a year late. That was definitely a year late, but how are we supposed to know that, Yeah,
that whole turnaround was really interesting because we all kind of knew Mike Zimmer was on the way out. But then when it was Rick Spielman too, that came as a little bit of a surprise because I did think that the Wilf family had a closer working relationship with Spielman. But after watching this year's draft, I mean, there's sure there are a lot of things to criticize about this year's draft, but I don't think Minnesota's draft was bad in any way this year. I mean, of course, time will tell whether or not it was successful, but honestly, absolutely cleaning house was likely the right move.
Yeah, for better, for worse. I couldn't agree more. We'll see. We'll have to ride this train for at least 3 or 4 years, but
they were in an interesting position where they had to clean house behind scenes, but they actually had some good talent on the field. And usually it's like, if you're that large of a cluster behind the scenes, you kind of have to clear the locker room out.
Right.
Which is it's so odd to criticize Spielman because he didn't do a good job, but he did, because we also had talent on the
there
team.
was quite a bit of talent when it came into the draft, free agency. Spielman did a very good job with trades, getting value for his players, and I mean, there was a lot to like about what he did, but the fact that there was that kind of disconnect between a coach, a GM, and a locker room, I don't know how the Vikings won the games they did.
And your starting star quarterback, who's like the biggest cap hit. He's the franchise quarterback. I got a question for you guys, because Adam always has the good ones. Kyle, you come up with great ones. I don't ask. This is going to be base level, all right? This is kind of petty, but I sent you guys that picture from Twitter. It's like, why would Kirk Cousins do this to the team? And it's 3 missed overtime kicks or end of the game kicks, and then obviously the collapse in Detroit. So let's turn that around. Let's take 4 losses away, and that'll be 5. 8 plus 4 is 12. The Vikings go 12-5 last year, and they make the playoffs. And they say, let's just say for shits and giggles again, they win a game and they lose in the divisional. Is Mike Zimmer still the coach right now?
That's so tough.
Would have been another every other year thing.
For me, no.
That's so tough to answer.
It's hard, right?
Everything that we know that was going on behind the scenes, I think
the decision was made on Zimmer before that.
Yeah.
Sure. It's just weird to think about, man, because this team, for the big meh that happened at the end of the season where you're like, damn it, man, this team's better than the record shows. There's so many close losses. They're in games. And you guys saw that other stat that's floating around out there that they made into like a meme. Had the Vikings, for the entire season last year, had they not given up any points in the final 2 minutes at the end of either half, they would have lost 2 games the entire year. 2. It's wild if they could just hold on and don't let the levee break, but I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. For sure, after the Lions loss, that was one that I want to forget. I hate justifying anything with Jared Goff. It's not good. I like
the
that
Cowboys.
Cool.
The Cowboys game where we lost to the
backup quarterback. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the one for sure where there was no coming back for Zimmer at that point. I'm actually not even 100% sure why they didn't just axe him mid-season.
I was actually trying to just start a discussion over on Twitter about how Mike Zimmer's approach to coaching was that he wanted teams to try to beat what he has established for his squad rather than creating game plans and attacking what other teams are preparing for the Vikings. Now, I do think this upcoming season with the new coaching staff and everything, it's going to be almost the exact opposite. We're going to see a lot of preparation going in, a lot of adjusting for other teams to attack their weaknesses and defend against strengths. I don't think Minnesota did that at all, almost during the entire Zimmer tenure in Minnesota.
We're going to see a change in offensive philosophy as well, too, where this team is going to be, we're going to beat it with Justin Jefferson through the air. That's how this team, I think, is going to be ran. And I still think that Dalvin Cook can be a large part of the offense, and he will be because he's a top 10 running back in the NFL right now. But it's going to run through Justin Jefferson, and that's going to be a big shift for this team.
John, what's up, buddy? It's good to hear from you again, man. It makes you think that maybe those last 2-minute halves were on purpose. I am here for Vikings conspiracy theories. I am so here for it, man. I wish that I could out. I am kind of close now, semi-close with somebody who works for the Vikings. I let Kyle know about it, but I promised I wouldn't ask any Viking questions, so I don't want to ruin that friendship. But
it's Mike Zimmer's girlfriend. His Instagram girlfriend is friends with Kyle Smith.
I wish. Good for him, though. I like this right here. What's up, Charlotte? Done with the mom's workshop. We were starting work. Thank you. Thank you for joining us again. John says JJ2K about to happen. Wouldn't that be something if he turns into Cooper Kupp from last year and just has like 1,900 yards and like 13 touchdowns?
He should.
That would be insane.
I mean,
I just want to see Dalvin Cook involved in this passing game. Yeah. That's what I want to see.
I like it.
No, if
Cliff, I like your idea here. Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just going to say, if he doesn't go off this year, if he doesn't have a monster season, it's a failure on the new coaching staff. I think that's fair. That's fair. That's fair to say.
I like the options that will shine too, because JJ's finally probably going to get a lot of one-on-ones, or I'm sorry, number one coverage and like double teams. Because it still felt like some of those games last year, I'm like, how do you leave this guy like at the Carolina game? It was against a corner I'd never heard of, and they've got a pretty good defense. And I'm like, I don't know how you leave Justin Jefferson with that guy, but maybe it's just for that play or that design or whatever. But we do have enough depth there too, where I think guys are going to have a good year behind them, whether it be Thielen or KJ or Irv Smith. But I like this right here. Was run, pass, punt. This year will be pass, run, touchdown. I like that. I was going to talk about Kyler Murray stuff. We can kind of save that for the main topic. Let's talk about former tight end Kyle Rudolph. He is signing a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Didn't think I'd hear about Kyle Rudolph catching passes from Tom Brady ever, but that's kind of cool. Like, I think we all here, at least here at the Purple People podcast, we were okay with maybe him doing a reunion here, but he is, and I'll read his stats shortly after the guys, give us their 2 cents, but he's on the downhill, man. I don't know. It would have been cool to have a familiar face and a touchdown catcher, but I wish him well. The reason I brought him up on the show, obviously he's a former Viking, but he needs 5 touchdowns to be top 10 all time in tight end receiving touchdowns. So that's kind of cool. He's at 49
It sucks that his
right
whole
now,
time with the Giants, he was so beat up. I mean, he could not stay on the field healthy. And when he did get on the field, he was nowhere near 100%. So if you kind of try to forget about that whole time with the Giants, Rudy could still be a very effective pass catcher. He's got that big radius. If nothing, having him in that red zone Be great for Tom Brady.
We always called him our version of Rob Gronkowski here in Minnesota, and now
Who
he
did?
gets to go at a lot of fans did. We
I've
always
never
called
done
him
that.
yeah, we did.
I didn't.
And
You say we,
That-
but we don't include me.
that's fine if you don't. But we always called him our version of Rob Gronkowski up here in Minnesota, and so now he actually gets to go play the Gronk down there for Tom Brady, and so you can't blame him for passing that opportunity up. I wonder how serious he would have been about coming to Minnesota had that not presented itself. I think he probably would have shown back for the team, don't you guys?
He's still got roots here. He would have liked coming back here, but of course, it all probably comes down to the money on that.
I'm looking at his stats here. He's never had a 1,000-yard season, which is, that's not uncommon for tight ends. They're not going to be the dominant pass catcher unless you're Travis Kelce or one of the all-time greats. But his
He
best
also
seasons
had
were
Christian
back-to-back.
Ponder.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. The yards here. Let's click on the yards. So his best season for yardage-wise was 2016 with Sam Bradford, 7 touchdowns, 840 yards. 2018 with Kirk Cousins, 634 yards with 4 touchdowns. He did have 8 touchdowns in 2017, that Case Keenum year, which is pretty cool. But the last few years have been kind of slim pickings here. I'm looking at 1 touchdown in Minnesota in 2020, 334 yards. Adam already alluded to it, 257 yards, 1 touchdown with the Giants. He was pretty beat up last year.
If you notice, when you look at those stats, you see Christian Ponder. He used his tight end quite a bit because, as they say on Madden, that's a safety net. So yeah, he was throwing passes there. But the numbers for Kyle Rudolph take a nice little decline when Kirk Cousins shows up and receivers start getting passes.
Yeah. And I was mistaken. His best year touchdown-wise was with Christian Ponder here. I didn't see that number 9 there. Only 439 yards, but 9 touchdowns in 2012. That's the AP 2,000-yard year. Oh, wow. A tight end scoring a ton of touchdowns and the running back going off. Wouldn't predict that with Christian Ponder at the helm.
I mean, they had a good connection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they worked well together.
I know.
It's funny that year they drafted Ponder
and
and the second round came along, and I was looking at my buddy John Beaver when we were drafting. I'm like, this is going to be an offensive weapon for Ponder. I look over the list. Kyle Rudolph was near the top of the players available. I'm like, there it is.
It's
Good stuff.
It sucks that he had to do like company man shit when he was like, oh, Daniel Jones is like the best quarterback ever. I didn't like hearing that. I'm like, cool, man, light in my face a little bit harder next time. But he's company man. I don't have anything negative to say. And he's got one of my favorite Vikings memories, catching that touchdown against the Saints in the wild card game.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah, he pushed off real nice.
Yes, he did. And I love that it didn't get called. And fuck the Saints. Well, that's all I have to say about that one. But yeah, he's 5 touchdowns away. So if he gets to 54, he'll be number 10 all time. He'll be a top 10 in touchdowns for NFL history from a tight end. So we wish you well, Kyle Rudolph. And you get to catch passes from the GOAT for at least a year. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
It's a cool little thing to have on your resume. But I want to talk about something because this has lit up Vikings Twitter since Kirk Cousins got here. And every year since 2018, when he joined this team, it's progressively gotten to be more of excuses from the haters and makes a whole lot more sense from this team and financially and stuff. But Kyler Murray, let's talk about him today because this was wild. He signed a 5-year, $230.5 million deal. Wow, guaranteed total $160 million. Hey, first off, congratulations. Get that bag, sir. And I love this. All you guys will love this. Shannon Sharp said a long time ago, stick with baseball. You're never going to make that kind of money in football. And I love when Shannon Sharp gets anything thrown back his way because if you're that loud and then you're wrong, the irony is really funny. But this is going to be an average salary per year of $46.1 million. Do you guys remember when Kirk was getting $32 million a year and everybody was losing their minds? This is wild. This is Dalvin Cook plus Kirk Cousins money, like salary-wise together. That's wild. And that he doesn't have a playoff win.
And for a quarterback,
I can't wrap my brain around it.
if you took the money out of it that they're paying him, I'm still not even sure that he wants to be in Arizona. He does now because they're paying him a hell of a lot of money to be there. But like, I don't know, man. It's wild. That's a lot of money. I'll take.
But
Kirk.
yet, with all these big contracts coming for quarterbacks, the media still finds ways to make their little jabs at Kirk Cousins. Like, I've seen a few articles now about how fully guaranteed contracts are hurting the NFL, and who's front and center on those articles right on the front cover? It's Kirk Cousins.
See, that's what I want to ask these guys that are writing. Like, yeah, it just comes along with, the times now that I think this is probably going to be kind of snarky. And like these guys, oh, well, I'm just trying to report. I'm just trying to be a journalist. Why is it not okay for someone to make as much money possible? That's kind of what this country's known for.
Yeah.
People snort cocaine. I'm sorry, the NFL like it's cocaine, and it's just like, give it to me, give it to me. Everybody's invested in this. Like, and also I thought about this last night. Isn't it weird how something we love so much? You imagine like Kyle, you work, if you want to say like the name of the company you work for.
Not really supposed to, but
okay, that's fine. So you work for Walmart.
Yeah.
You work for Walmart, right? When you get a pay raise, granted, you're not as popular and famous, and we're all not athletes here. When you get a pay raise, do they post it on the front of every like outlet and social media? Isn't that wild? Don't. It's like, hey, this guy's making this much money. Like, I would hate that if I was an athlete. Don't tell anybody. You know what we never heard?
They have a Walmart newsletter where they can post all that kind of stuff.
Walmart Reddit. I don't know.
But look at a guy like Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time. Never once heard what his salary is. Now I know that players and coaches, there's a separation there, but that's kind of weird that there's like, hey, this guy's making this much money. I'd be like, can you shut up?
I'll tell you what I don't like.
It's nobody's business, man.
I tell you what I don't like about the whole contract thing is that people say, well, Kirk Cousins' contract stopped the Vikings from being able to put together these pieces out there on offense last year, to put the pieces around him on offense or defense. And so if we had Josh Rosen at quarterback that we pay absolutely nothing to, and we load the whole team up around him, we can be the Baltimore Ravens and we can Trent Dilfer our way to the Super Bowl and hold teams to 6 points. It's like, no, you're not going to do that. The Ravens couldn't even do that twice. We're not going to do that. It's just, that's not a thing that you're going to rely on. And I don't want to go back to that screenshot I showed you guys where it was like, these were the Vikings quarterbacks before Kirk Cousins. And it was like 12 different starters all in a row that we went through. I'm fine with having some stability with Kirk here. Like, we don't need Josh Rosen. We don't need all that shit in Minnesota.
You know what I kind of love, though, about Kirk Cousins' contract? I love that the guaranteed money pretty much assures that Kirk Cousins will be here throughout that span of time. We don't really have to worry about a quarterback that has maybe a front-loaded contract with a lot of guaranteed money up front. And at the end, you got to decide, well, do we cut him to save $12 million because he's not living up to what he could be? No, we know what Kirk Cousins is. He's been in the NFL long enough that you know what you get with Kirk Cousins. As a usual. I mean, I do think that this year could be a little bit better than average Kirk Cousins because he's finally getting those extra responsibilities. But with him and having his guaranteed contracts, you also know he's not going anywhere. There's stability. And Minnesota fans have not had stability at quarterback in Minnesota for such a long time that it feels nice to know what to expect.
Do you want to know what I like about Kirk Cousins' contract? I don't have to pay for it. And a lot of fans act like it is personally coming out of their paycheck each and every week. Here's my rant for a minute.
They'll still yell at you about the stadium.
I know they will. Salary cap, who gives a fuck? It's all made up. It doesn't exist. It's an easy thing to point to be like, this is the reason why my team is bad. Who cares, guys? Who cares? I don't care what they pay anyone. I don't care what they pay anyone on the Vikings. I don't care. It's an excuse for when you're a. It's an.
But
excuse
teachers
for
make
when
so
you're a
little.
bad team.
What does this football player do that a teacher or cop or all these other positions that people aren't making enough? If being a teacher brought in the amount of money that being a football player brings into a business, man, teachers would be getting paid a lot of money.
Could your
unless
third grade
you're at
teacher?
a private institution that's like state and government ran shit. Right? That's NFL is a private business. Like,
not saying teachers don't deserve money, because boy, they definitely deserve to get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, but could your third grade teacher?
I just hate that argument from dumb people.
But are they going to rush for 2,000 yards and win MVP? Like, no. Like, that's the
Dave Chappelle joke right there. That's the O.J. Simpson joke. That is funny as hell.
Yeah.
When he was like, "How could you shake hands with that murderer?" It's like, ma'am, all due respect, that murderer ran for over 11,000 yards.
In 14
pretty funny,
games.
But
yeah.
To piggyback on what Kyle said earlier, we're talking about Kyler Murray, and then you brought up the Ravens. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I am laughing my ass off at this.
How much?
He's got a lot of wins, won an MVP. He's had some playoff wins.
He's also a full-size
look at that. Like, this is the starting point. This is the starting point of a salary right here. We can talk when you start with these numbers, and it's this is going to be the contract year because he's been in the league for 4 years. But if I'm Baltimore, I'm like, good God, yeah, this will be, I believe, his 5th year. I think he got drafted in 2018.
Is it possible? Hey, here's a weird scenario for you guys. Is it possible that Lamar is going to ask for so much money that the league is just going to be like, you know what? We can't do it. Is he going to price him?
The league might not say that, but the Ravens could be like, somebody trade for him.
Is he just going to price himself out of the league? Are they just going to be like, you know what? We can't do it.
Yeah, I never thought about
that would be
the price tag Lamar Jackson's going to fetch now, but whoo, doggy.
Well, I think that's funny too, because I think depending on where you go, like we can talk about Jimmy Garoppolo too, because he might be on the move, but it all depends on where you're at, man. Like, make no mistake about it, Tom Brady's the greatest because I love watching what he did in New England, but going to Tampa Bay too, it's kind of like, okay, the dude still got it. You know, he went to a different conference, different place, whatever. You take Jimmy Garoppolo out of New England or San Fran, where he is gifted plays, gifted all these easy throws. If he goes to Atlanta, he's going to be fucking terrible. And then, like Lamar, they built that team around Lamar Jackson. They knew what he was coming out of college, and give John Harbaugh like all the credit. Like, hey, I want to try to make it work with this kid because he seems like generational. But
Atlanta's offensive line is worse than Minnesota's.
It's so bad.
It's really bad.
So
Atlanta's
bad.
defense is disgusting. Like, not in a good way either.
That's a poverty.
There's
franchise.
nothing around him. He's got a rookie wide receiver. He's got a big tight end. He's got a receiver that he doesn't know if they're going to come back and play football. I mean, I don't know. No run game whatsoever. That is not an opportunity.
Cordero
that
Patterson.
looks good whatsoever.
Yeah, I think they kept him. That's cool, I guess.
I think he's still in Atlanta.
Did they sign him back?
He's
so.
out there playing nickel corner or whatever weird shit they got him doing these days.
They got him at safety. It's like, hey, dude, you're big enough. You're fast enough. Go hit people.
Yeah, fuck it. Our team's bad. What do you want to do, Cordero? I don't know why Minnesota didn't do that. We were bad.
Yeah, looking at this Murray contract is signing bonus $29 million, average salary $46 million. That's insane. Guaranteed at signing $105 million, total guaranteed $160. Go over to Kirk Cousins here, and I'm using Spot Track if you guys are interested in looking it up. 1 year, $35 million, so that's $6 million less. I mean, that's a quality starting whatever position in money right there. But at least with Kirk, I know he's consistent enough because, like, I saw a graph today about Cliff Kingsbury where he starts off hot every year and then they kind of figure him out. And that's partially on the coach to be like, well, the team sucked at the end of the year because blah, blah, blah. But it ain't like Kyler Murray doesn't have weapons there. James Conner is a good running back. You got friggin' D-Hop. Christian Kirk
anymore.
I forgot about that. He drove the market up for those freaking wide receivers. That was insane. But they have a good young offensive-minded coach there. So, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's a thing. You don't want Kyler Murray to leave because what if you lose out and it's like, well, we definitely didn't get better and now we suck. but it's just I don't know. I don't want to call it overpaying. I don't want these guys to ever, not that they care. They got the money in the bank that I don't, but you don't ever want to say like you overpaid for this guy, but there's a lot of stuff now going like we're preemptively paying for what we think your potential is going to be. And it's not like, Russell Wilson signs that contract in Denver. I'm like, of course he made that much money. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. Like, I get it. But Kyler Murray's making more than him now, more than Aaron Rodgers per year. I don't know about that, but it sure does make Kirk Cousins' contract look a lot more friendly. And let's just add this in one more time. He's got 2 years right now, this year and next season. If it doesn't work, guess what they could do? Find a rookie QB, draft up and get him, because they're going to have to pay Justin Jefferson a lot of money.
See, the Vikings missed out. No Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That poor guy. Poor guy. They're going to be so bad this year. Ugh.
So I got 2 things that I want to talk about before we call her quits. First is, don't you think it's very interesting how Coors Light circumvented NFL rules to have Pat Mahomes endorse their products?
I missed this. What?
Okay,
what's
so
the rule?
NFL players are not allowed
to
to endorse alcohol, right?
Okay.
That's part of the NFLPA. So what Coors Light did is Coors Light, instead of having him push their beer, they made a side hustle where they're selling Coors flashlights. And Patrick Mahomes did an advertisement for the flashlights.
It's so funny.
And those flashlights sold out in 3 hours.
I like it.
I just can't, this is funny in a way. Now I'm going to get pissed off and go on a rant, but it's funny how the NFL tries to be like holier than thou when you can't do suspensions right, and your players, hit people in an elevator or get domestic assault charges or this or that. Like, no beer and don't you bet on games. We'll suspend you for a year. But a guy has 24 allegations out there, and it's like, we'll give him 5 games.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like,
also,
you guys, the morality, you guys are pretty shitty at being the morality police, is all I'm saying.
They put NFL logos on alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NFL can endorse it, but players can't.
Exactly. That's the dumb part. It's like, well, the NFL can do it. We can make money on it, but we don't want players to make money. That's fucking stupid.
We live in such a weird time about that stuff. Like, the
know.
college athletes not getting paid. Like, we're going to be far dead and gone. But when the sense finally comes around, it's like, what the hell were y'all thinking back in the day? Like, I don't know, man. It's so funny because you can make millions off these people. I get it. Like, these guys are getting paid handsomely, most of them. But what if you're like, hey, I want my stake in the company now because I'm worth this is a lot of money and it's great, but I'm actually worth 3 times that much. You just don't want to pay me.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how many other beer products or alcohols are going to start doing these little weird other projects to be able to have NFL players in their ads and endorse products like that, because that's a dangerous precedent right there.
How did Pat McAfee fit into this?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I thought you said McAfee.
No.
Okay, Mahomes. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think
was like,
who's the official sponsor, the beer sponsor? Is it Bud Light for the NFL?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's another thing, too. Like, players can't endorse alcohol at all, but, you especially can't go against the brand because we have a deal with these people. And he's like, yeah, I don't drink that shitty beer. I drink this other shitty beer. Or at least I get paid to say I drink this other shitty beer. So it's like,
all light beer is shitty beer.
that's domestic beer for you. It's pretty
I
bad.
used to love slamming some Coors Lights back in the day.
Yeah.
Things went down smooth as silk, dude.
They get the job done, but there's
I will
hot
say,
day, refreshing.
if I have to pick a domestic beer, that is my go-to. Second is a Miller Latte, but Bud Light, man, I don't see it. I don't.
No,
good for them for making all that
not
money.
For me.
That's like shitty college beer when you don't know, when your palate hasn't fully gotten to where it needs to be.
I agree.
And the last thing I want to talk about is Brett Favre a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Brett Favre's daughter is a contestant on an ABC game show, kind of competitive show right now. Episode 2 just aired, and they revealed that his daughter Brittany is on a show called Claim to Fame, which puts a number of people in a house together, and all of them have a famous relative. But they can't let the other people find out who their famous relative is. They drop hints each week, and it's kind of fun because you get to kind of look at these people that are regular people and try to figure out like who these people are related to and what their connection is. The first week, I'll throw a small spoiler out here. There was this dude that looked like a tiny version of Steven Spielberg. Like, it was amazingly close. And he always talked about watching movies with his dad. So at the end of the show, when they lined up to get people up there to be like, oh, well, I know who this person is. They said, well, this is Steven Spielberg, is his grandpa. No, it wasn't. You know who his grandpa was?
Who?
Chuck Norris.
I did see something about that online.
So I was
here's my
laughing
question
so
about that,
hard
Adam.
at that. What's that?
So obviously, I said my question for you is because I would like to pay attention more, but I'm going to ask an obvious dumb question here. So like Favre is pretty recognizable. So is her name just Brittany on the show?
Brittany?
They don't do their last name. They don't tell, because that would be a telltale sign. But Brett Favre's dad. Okay, bye.
Right.
They don't know the last names, correct? They don't tell them.
No, they don't
like,
give any last names. In fact, there's one guy in there that doesn't even go by his name. He just goes by X, and people think he's a vampire. It's amazing. It's great TV.
That has to be Nicolas Cage's son.
I would be very surprised if that was Nicolas Cage's son.
This is such a good segue too. If you guys haven't seen Nicolas Cage's recent movie about himself, it is absolutely genius. I
want to see it, but I don't know if I know enough of Nick Cage's catalog to really enjoy it. Should I still watch it?
It has the golden references that you would recognize, like a base level Nick Cage fan like you and I. Like, I'm not a super big one, but it's just the homage to like his weird personality. It is so freaking funny. And there's some good supporting actors in it too, and actresses. I highly recommend it. I went and saw it in theaters, like thinking it was going to be terrible. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I recommend checking out that show, especially if you're a fan of Favre's, because they showed a nice little photo montage of Brittany and Brett, like back in the day before Brett Favre even got famous. Like it was them at home doing, watching TV on the couch or laying in bed together, and it was just so cool to see some of these pictures of Brett Favre that you normally would never get to see.
Nicolas Cage's son, Weston Coppola Cage, wants a name change.
Yeah, it's still crazy to me that he's a Coppola.
He doesn't look like him. If I see him there, I'm like, I wouldn't know that was Nick Cage's son. Maybe a little bit, but not like strikingly resemblance there. This is great Vikings podcast talk, by the way. Thank you guys.
Oh,
hey, I got in some Brett Favre talk. You guys are the ones that took it off the rails.
We do what we can.
Charlotte, I'm Googling that right now. Vikings preseason starts August 14th at 4:25 p.m. in Las Vegas against the Raiders. The second preseason game is in Minnesota against the 49ers, August 20th at 7 p.m. And the last preseason game is in Denver, August 27th at 9 p.m. against the Broncos. So there you go.
Fun times.
Thank you for rounding it back, Charlotte. We needed that. I was going off the rails there. Yeah, we'll have some interesting notes coming up very soon. Training camp starting, I believe, next week. So we'll tell you all the latest news, who's shining, who's a dud. But it's just nice that they'll be able to get together and do official team stuff. And we'll see if all this team building and all this kumbaya, bring the team together energy is going to transfer. And I hope that it does, because I hope these guys have fun. That's the most important thing. I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but I couldn't imagine getting paid all that money in that juxtaposition of, well, I have a good job, but I kind of fucking hate it here. You know what I mean? Like, let these guys be relaxed, man, and just be loose. I think they'll play better that way, but I'm excited to see what Kevin O'Connell's offense looks like. So we're only a couple days away. I think it's 7 weeks now. I won't count this week, it's pretty much over. 7 weeks till football, so we're almost there.
Let's end the show with a nice, fun trivia question.
Let's do it.
All right, so only one quarterback in Vikings history has completed 100% of his passes. And that was a quarterback that only threw 2, Jay Walker. So we're not going to include him.
Jay Walker.
So let's say, who is the Vikings franchise leader in completion percentage other than Mr. Jay Walker?
I don't like this because if it could be very small passing amount. Sam Bradford, is it not?
It's a trick. This is a trick.
It is a trick.
It's going to be something stupid like Chris Cluey or someone who's not even a quarterback.
Not a quarter. No, I said quarterback.
Okay.
And I excluded the guy that only thrown 2 passes. So it is a quarterback that's throwing a lot of passes.
Wade Wilson. That's my pick.
No, Smith had it right on the head.
Is Bradford?
Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford, 71.8% of his passes were completed.
For as 8
Minnesota.
and 8 as they were, that dude did not throw very many incompletions. Makes you wonder.
His record with Minnesota as a starter is 9 and 8, so he's a winner.
There we go. I love that. Adam, you threw me a layup there. I appreciate the question. You guys
All right,
document
who's next on the list?
completion percentage. Kirk Cousins.
I swear you're looking at these stats.
I was gonna say it's either Kirk or it's Teddy. No,
It actually goes Kirk, and then Case Keenum.
Oh.
We got to end the show. Yeah. I'm on a good high note. We got to get off now because I'm gonna mess this up.
How far down do you got to go to hit Ponder?
Oh boy, you got to scroll pretty far. You actually got to scroll kind of far for several of the people on this list because there are not a lot of great ones on here. But one thing that did surprise me is that Brett Favre was above Teddy Bridgewater.
Huh.
But that shitty second season he had here.
Christian Ponder in completion percentage is above Matt Castle, Gus Frerotte, and Jeff George. So interesting.
See, he wasn't that bad.
And Ponder is right below Randall Cunningham and Donovan McNabb.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, I forgot he was here. Oh. Charlotte,
nestled
2
under Christian Ponder is Sean Mannion. So, I mean, that's fun times.
My day is ruined now.
Oh. Who's the lowest?
Oh, boy.
Who's at the very bottom?
We got to do it, but you asked that question, Kyle, but we have to do a qualifying number of passes. Not like, I filled in for one game and it was terrible, like Josh Freeman. Like,
yeah, you guys don't want Larry Miller.
Yeah.
I love that Charlotte said he was cute. She's talking about Sam Bradford. And then it makes me immediately think of that meme where he's smiling in a Vikings uniform. And it's like, Sam Bradford looks like a little kid who dressed up as Sam Bradford for Halloween.
If I'd have been thinking, I should have known this answer. Because it's Spurgeon Wynn.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Right?
Yeah, as soon as you say that, I'm like, yeah, duh, I should have known
I don't even know why I scrolled. I should have just said it.
Because Spurgeon Wynn is not a name that you think of ever.
No. Spurgeon effing Wynn.
Jonathan's going in the right direction. Joe Webb, the Josh Freemans of the world.
Wasn't Spurgeon Wynn in the same draft class as Tom Brady? Was he one of the quarterbacks taken before Tom Brady?
It's very possible.
Hold on, I'll find out.
Potentially.
Spurgeon Wynn. Oh, that guy.
I'm so glad I spelled his name right on the first one.
Good job.
That's cool. Let's see. Professional career. Drafted in the year 2000 by Cleveland.
2000,
That's Tom Brady. 6th round, 183rd overall. Oh, before New England's Tom Brady. Holy crap.
I thought so.
Oh, that is embarrassing. What a Cleveland Browns
some good times.
Woo. All right, let's plug some shit. What do you guys think?
All right, check out my stuff over on the Viking Age. Undead Walking, got stuff going on over there. I recently released an article about 5 players for the Vikings who are going to be first-year starters for Minnesota, and that's going to be kind of fun to see how they do. I also do stuff on Twitch once in a while. I'm on the TikToks and the YouTubes and the Twitters and Instagrams at MN Viking Zombie. You can check out my stuff there.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys
Just
think we
Kyle
could get
West.
Spurgeon Wynn on the podcast? Like, what's
I
his
don't know if
I'll
he's
try to
still
find
alive.
You can check out my Instagram and Twitter page, which Kyle Smith has up on the screen right now, and that will send you to some of my other work, my photography, and stuff like that. So check it out. Give me a follow. We'll talk about whatever. We'll talk about movies or games or Vikings football, whatever.
You can also buy Kyle West's stuff here, which is really cool. Not like his personal items. You can't buy his shoes, but you can buy cool stuff that he sells at this website.
I mean,
Send him a DM on Twitter. He might sell you his shoes for the right price.
I was going to say, I'll haggle.
Everything's got a price here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Spurgeon Wynn. Adam said, I don't know if he's still alive. Sir, he's only 43 years old.
That don't mean nothing.
I was about to say, how long ago was this? We drafted in 2000. I mean, I'll try to track him down. I'll try to work my charm. Let's get him on the show. Oh,
What
man.
But all right,
questions would you even ask him? Hey, how does it
Kyle
feel
Smith does post some of his stuff from his music gigs up on his social media every once in a while too, at NC Dog Dude. He's trying to get things set up on Twitch, but he's kind of dragging his feet there a little bit. He does go on Instagram Live every once in a while. It's kind of nice to see. But you should check out his music when you can, especially if you can catch him live.
I'll be playing around the Charlotte area, so if you're here, hit me up. Otherwise, Adam Carlson's going to sign us out.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. Really always appreciate having you guys here. It's always good. You can check us out on your favorite places to listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, wherever. We've always got something going on there. If you want to check out the full catalog of shows, we're always on YouTube. Don't recommend going back and listening to some of those old shows, but it's your choice, your time. You have at her if you want. On that note, thanks again to everyone for taking the time to join us, and thank you to both Kyles for talking football with me. We'll be back next week. Stay classy, Minnesota.